Hi and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to talk about 7 reasons to always be reading. And I am a strong advocate of reading. I love reading, and so I just wanted to talk to you about some of the reasons I think it's important for us to always be reading. So if you are new to my channel, I created this channel as a homeschooling resource to do different ideas like I'm doing today that I feel help better us and further our education as an individual, as a mom, to help our kids. And it's also important to instill in our kids. But I also created this channel to just give you some different ideas of organizational ideas, curriculum ideas for your homeschool space and experience. So if you're interested in those things, please hit that subscribe button. And let's talk about books and reading. So first of all, as a little girl, all I ever imagined having in my house was Beauty and the Beast, the library, you know, with the ladder going across the wall. That's, I imagined my life being like that, and having that big, amazing library and just swinging myself across the ladder. I don't have that. I probably will never have that exactly, but I still have dreams of maybe just having a wall that's full of books with a ladder. So we'll see if that happens. But I have my little cheat sheet down here because I can't remember everything. So I have this to help me out. But the first one I wanted to mention is my love of reading comes from my grandparents. And this is important because what we do influences generations and impacts other people besides ourselves. So if my grandparents weren't so into reading and didn't have books that I could just come over and take off the shelves whenever I wanted, I probably wouldn't have read as much as I did when I was younger, because it wasn't something that happened as much in my immediate family home. And so it's important what you're doing because it's influencing generations and it's influencing other people. So number 2 is people throughout history have lost their way and their language when they stop reading, when they don't have books, when they don't have records. They forget who they are. We read it throughout history. In the scriptures specifically, I think of tons of examples of people losing their way or having their language confounded because they don't have records to remind them of who they are. So reading is so important to help us remember who we are, what's gone on before us, possibly what's coming a little bit after us, and things like that. So if we get rid of that, then we forget who we are. And it's really hard for us to refocus on that without somebody helping and giving us back that knowledge we lost. And then the next thing, the third thing, is that why we should read all the time is because one of the easiest ways for us to become, I don't know, subservience seems like an old-fashioned word, but, or I don't know what a better word is, but we'll stick with that one, is to stop reading. And I feel throughout history, to get people to listen to them, they would burn books. You know, you have Fahrenheit 451. You have many examples of people taking away books. They're not available to just a normal person, to a peasant type person, or someone that maybe doesn't have very much money. And when you take those books away, those people, it's harder for them to learn. It's harder for them to gain experience. And so if we want to continue learning and understanding the world around us, we need to be reading books. It's very, very important. So the fourth thing allows us to change the world. That sounds kind of overwhelming and ominous at the same time, but I think as we read more and as we understand people's perspectives better, we're able to go out and facilitate change. When we just sit at home and kind of stuck in our own world and don't understand that people have other experiences and have struggles, then it's really hard for us to change anything in the world. So I remember as a graduate, no, I am not a graduate student. As an undergraduate student at BYU, I had this class, and it was my capstone class, signed to my final semester class. And my teacher was very good at pushing us to see everyone's perspective. And he would play the devil's advocate, for lack of a better term, and say, well, what about this? Or what about this? What if they come back at you with this question? What are you going to say? And his point was there's research that points in ways that we believe, and there's research that points in ways that we might not believe or maybe don't understand yet. but it's important to understand that they both are there, because then it's a lot easier for us to relate to other people and to understand where they're coming from. And so as we read more and understand more, we're able to reach out to people in the world and be more relatable and facilitate that change. Okay, so the next one is it reminds us to just breathe and turn off our phones and just relax and take a step away. I know some people can like to listen, they're not readers, and that's okay. It's not I'm not good at listening to a book. I like to read it. And another reason I think reading an actual book occasionally is really good is because of this. It takes you away from all of like your screen time, your phones, your technology, and you can go sit outside if you want to, or I don't like to when it gets super hot and there's lots of bugs. But other than that, I don't mind sitting outside and reading, but it just gets you away from everything for a minute and it helps you just relax. I feel like it would be good for everybody to just relax a little bit, especially right now. So go grab a book and relax. So the next one, which is number 6, is it expands our minds. This kind of goes off a little bit of, being able to understand the world a little bit better and relate to people, but in a little different way. So I have a few examples to show you. So I think this book, so one way is expanding our minds exposes us to different things that we would never otherwise think about. So The Great Alone is one I've read recently, and this one's about Alaska. And it's something I wouldn't have understood really, or ever probably taken time to really understand if it wasn't for this book. So it expanded my mind to another world. Even though this is fiction, it's based on some facts of an individual, but even though it is that fictional novel, it still intrigues me to look further into what these people live through and what people in Alaska currently live through. So I love this one. And another thing that it helps us get outside as well is looking at war times. I think war times for some people, it's a very sensitive topic, and it is for me too. But I'm sorry, I'm laughing, that's horrible. But I love World War II books, and I always am hesitant about saying that because it sounds horrible, obviously. But these are a couple of my favorites that I've read recently, The Nightingale and Beneath the Scarlet Sky. And again, these expanded my mind. They open your mind to a world that I hope I never have to experience, but people did. And so understanding that people live like this or have lived like this is very important to just having humanity and being able to go out and serve the world and realize that there's a world outside your own. So that's one of the things that I really love about books, is that they can just give you those experiences, even if they're fiction, but a lot of them are based in some sort of fact. And so you can continue to learn about that and understand those people better. And then the last thing I want to mention is you get to learn new things and travel to places, not literally, but you figuratively, wow, I can speak, get to travel to those places, which I think is just amazing that you can. In the last, it's been, maybe 5 years. I was gonna say it hasn't been that long, but it feels like it's been a long time. I've just been obsessed with Regency times and kind of medievalish. There's a few medievalish books that have mingled in with that period as well. So I'm just holding these up. I have billions, guys. You could be buried under my books because I just love them so much. But I just love this time period. I don't know why. Not that I would actually want to live there. I'm pretty sure I probably wouldn't. But it just kind of transports you to a time and a place that maybe you haven't experienced. And maybe you don't want to. After reading The Great Alone, wherever it is, right here, I don't want to go to Alaska and live like that. But I still got to understand that people do. So I love how books just transport us and help us see a world outside of our own and just help us live in a little bit of a fantasy land, which is okay sometimes to just have that fantasy land. It de-stresses us. I feel like it brings us zen back to our lives. So those are 7 reasons to always be reading, at least brought to you by me. And I just hope that the next time you walk by a book that you will sit down and take time to smell the books. And I hope you have a wonderful day, and we will see you next time.